Hello, good evening, each and every one of us. You're welcome to today's edition of Tim-Osa Media Weekly Talk Show. We have been looking at different topics and seeing them from different point of view. Um, and also, we've looked at the power preparation 1.0, the power preparation 2.0, and today we're looking at the power preparation 3.0. So it's been an awesome time in the studio here at Tim-Osa Media. It's been a wonderful time looking at a diverse topic at a different time entirely. So we've come with different guests from different walks of life, different professionals. We've come with those that have the ability to actually impart in each and every one of us. So this evening is not going to be an exemption. We're going to be looking at another topic differently, as you have seen in our flyers. What we have before you say I do. This has to be a very important topic. This is something that is needed in the lives of every young boy, the lives of every young girls out there, because marriage is something that is not just something that you go into for just one day. Rather, it's something that you go in for the rest of your life, and is for better, for worst. So going into marriage, there are a lot of things that ought to be known by each and every one of us. Before you decide to walk down the aisle, before you decide to walk down with your heart rope to the altar to say, yes, I do, what are the things that you need to know in order to have a very lovely and a very wonderful marriage? But before we start up this evening, if you're joining us or if you're here with us, I would love you to just tell us where you are joining from. Just put it on the chat box, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook or you're on TikTok. Just tell us where you are joining from. Thank you for joining this evening. I'm really, really happy, and we're glad that you're here with us. So just tell us where you are joining from. Thank you. Those already joining, some people are already joining. Thank you for joining us. I want to know you. Tell us where you are joining from. Thank you for joining. It's going to be an awesome time. And also, don't forget to also share with us your experiences or your inspiration for this evening, what you want or what you're expecting or what you wish to get in the program of today. The power preparation 2.0. How do you prepare for your marriage? How do you prepare for the journey ahead of you? How do you prepare for the lifetime journey? It's not something that you just you're married today and tomorrow you tell yourself, no, I'm tired of this marriage, I'm going out. No, you can do that. Marriage is for better, for worse. It's something that you're going to stay for the rest of your life, God willing. So we want to actually know what you hope to get this evening. Are you actually prepared for the program of today? Are you actually prepared to receive the best this evening? So just let us know where you're joining from. I want to know where you're joining from. Those already joining, thank you for joining. Let's know where you're joining from. I know you can. You notice that I'm trying to look at the other side. I'm live on two different devices, so probably that's the reason why I'm trying to look at different devices. Please, if you're here this evening, just share the live, share it so that others will have access to it. Share it to your friends, share it to your enemies. Your enemies that you're sharing it to might enjoy it and might actually get the best this evening. So if you are here, share it, share the life, because we are already believing God that the session this evening will impart each and every one of us. There is nobody that will be coming here this evening that will have to go back the same way. You are prepared. You're already in for a blessing. What is your take on the issue of marriage? What is your take? Let us know. How do you prepare for marriage? Let us know. How do you intend to, as a bachelor, as a bachelorette or a spinster, how do you intend to prepare? How, as I've said earlier on, it's not something that you go in today and tomorrow you opt out. No. From here in Tim-Osa studio, live from the city of Glasgow, United Kingdom, I'm here this evening, and we have a wonderful guest. As you'll be patient enough, we're going to be introducing our guest this evening to us. So just be patient, because this evening is going to be raw. Our guest will be discussing with us different things that we ought to know, different things that we need to know, and different things that we must know before getting into the institution that is called marriage. Marriage is an institution that you can never graduate. Hope you're aware of that. I guess each and every one of us are aware of that. So before you go into it, what are the little things? I call it little because if you're able to adhere to the pros and the cons, if you're actually able to adhere to the do's and the don'ts, I think you're going to enjoy your marriage. It's something that you are actually going to enjoy, because you don't just go into today just like a 4-year course in school that you go into the higher institution today and tomorrow you're out, or after 4 years, after 5 years, you're out of the higher institution. No, that's not marriage. Marriage is for life, and it's for better, for worse. So after getting to know that marriage is for better, for worse, how do you hope to keep your home? How do you hope to prepare for it? Is not marriage is more than just waking up. Because of recent, one of the things that gave me passion for this topic is I saw the way cards is coming out, like marriages. In fact, I became scared at a time. Card comes out almost on a daily basis. I get invitation card almost, even though I'm not going to be there, but I get invitation card almost on a daily basis. So like I became somehow scared. Is it that people are actually just going into this, or probably there's something that I don't really know? So that's what gave me the passion for this particular topic. How do you prepare for marriage? What are the things that you need to know before going into marriage? Is marriage just all about the sexual aspect of it? Is marriage just all about the syndrome of I'm no longer single? That is the reason why most persons they go into marriage. Let it be known that I'm no longer single. I've seen ladies just they show their fingers that, oh, I'm married. Is that the reason, or is that the essence of this whole institution called marriage? So that is the reason why we are here this evening. We want to actually know, why do you have to go into this institution called marriage? So I guess we'll be dealing with a whole lot of things this evening. What is the essence of marriage? Because I cannot talk about the topic, I cannot actually teach about it, because though if I'm teaching about it, it will be as a result of things I read online, or probably what I've seen people do. But I actually don't have experience, because I'm still very much single. So I want somebody that is married to come talk to us about the issue of marriage, about this institution called marriage. What do you need to know before you say I do? What are the few things that we need to know? There are a whole lot of things that we need to know before you can say yes I do. People just get into it without knowing what they're getting into. People propose this almost on a daily basis. See, oh, she said yes, she said yes, she said yes. And I begin to ask myself, at times I pause and ask myself, is it the way I look at marriage? Is it the same way these people, they are seeing this institution called marriage? I, for one, I'm one person that is very, very scared of that word marriage, because I feel that getting into it is you are telling yourself, I'm ready for this responsibility for life. I'm ready for this responsibility for life. So as much as I'm scared, I have to get myself prepared emotionally. I have to get myself prepared financially. I have to get myself prepared spiritually. I have to get myself prepared in all ramification to be able to. I know you can't be perfect as a human, but when you are prepared to an extent, if you're going to write a particular examination, or probably let's assume that those are in Africa, you are going to write your probably your West Africa examination, and you didn't even study at all. Like, you didn't even bother opening your book, you didn't even bother reading, and you just go to the exam hall and you want to go and explore it. Man, you're going to come out a failure, a reasonable failure in quotes, because you didn't prepare for the so-called marriage or the so-called examination. So just the same way you do that. But if you're prepared for the examination to an extent, you have read, but though you're not okay with what you have read so far, but you have actually read something, you've actually gone to look at some areas, you've actually looked at one or two. So after, when you get to the examination, most likely you might see questions that probably you're familiar with, or something that you can just probably read, and or you can just see, and before you know it, you're good to go. But the institution of marriage is still just like that. You don't go into marriage unprepared. I can tell you that for free. You don't go into marriage unprepared. Before you go into the institution called marriage, there is need to prepare yourself financially. As a growing up boy, one thing that get me scared about the institution called marriage is the fact that people just wake up, look for one young lady somewhere, and the next thing I'm hearing is, Timothy, I'm getting married. And before you know it, or before you know what is happening, is wedding card all out. And in fact, let me tell you a story. There was one particular person I bested. Probably he should be in this program, I don't know, but if you are here, I'm sorry, but I just probably have to say this. In fact, that was the day I almost gave up in this institution called marriage. I've been having some fears on my own, but that day I discovered something, that this young man called me, Timothy, you're going to be my best man. I said, okay, no problem, that's fine. He told me the dates, and we got preparing ourselves and all that. But few days, I think 2 days to the wedding, I called him. He actually told me the color of the suit that I'll be wearing. So I just went to, I asked him, are we going to get the suit together? He said, no, I should just go and get it. And he sent me the color and everything. So I just went to the market, I bought my materials, went to sew it and all that. So 2 days to the wedding, I was like, I now wear our bow tie, our shoe, we haven't gotten them. He said, okay, don't worry. I will go get them. Unknowingly to me that this guy doesn't have money. Like, he just fixed wedding without preparing financially. Okay, the house you rented, can we go and check it? Let's see what it's everything. No. If the house well furnished, the house okay, the house this. I said, okay, that's good, I'm fine. So hopefully, he didn't want me to visit it before the wedding. I'm not the lady that he's getting married to. Likewise, the lady could not visit the place too, because that was the same thing he was telling the lady, that, oh, the place is okay, you're fine, don't worry, and all that. So after the whole stuff, like after the whole drama, a day to the wedding, I called him also. I called. He didn't pick up my call. So I had to really call somebody that is a very close to. I was like, please, can you call this person? Well, his marriage is tomorrow, or his wedding is tomorrow. We haven't gone to the market to get our stuff. Like, we haven't gotten our tie. We haven't gotten our inner wear, and everything that we need to use. So they called him and he was like, oh, sorry, I didn't know he was the one calling. I thought it's my in-laws that have been disturbing for something, so I don't have it. I was like, man, okay, can we go to the market and get these things? He said, Tim, I won't lie to you, I don't have money to get those. And your wedding is tomorrow. Can you imagine that? So I have to quickly do one or two, and I was able to get money. I said, okay, no problem, let's go to the market, because some places have actually known that, okay, I'm the one besting him. So, like, I wouldn't want to do something that is not okay per se. I want to do something that is reasonable to an extent. So we got to the market, we got some things and all that. Finally, the day of the wedding came, and I went to his house. We got dressed up, and we got to the church. And this guy was all smiling. You could see the joy in him. Went to the church, did all the church stuff, like all the pronouncement and everything. We did that. After doing everything that we need to do in the church, now it's time to go to the reception hall. We got into the guy was not having a car to use on his wedding day. Like, I actually, that when I begin to think about that day, I'm actually just like, what's happening? So that day actually came, and no vehicle to use. I have to call someone else. Please, can you bring your vehicle? Please, we want to use it to go to the church. This guy doesn't have a car that we're using. So we actually used it to go to the church. Now we drove down to the reception hall. Get to the reception hall. Normal. Once you get down from the vehicle, they'll ask you, oh, there's some person that the child, okay, you need to eat before you go inside, because they know definitely that you didn't eat before leaving the house in the morning. So you have to eat before going to the reception hall. So they asked him, are you eating? He said, yeah, he's eating. He's very hungry. So they brought food for us. If I know, probably I wouldn't have eaten that food. So they brought the food. In fact, I sat down, I ate the food. I saw the way the lady was looking at him when he was eating the food. I was like, what's happening? The lady wasn't eating. It was just myself and him that was eating that food. So after the whole stuff, after the whole marriage and everything, somebody called, somebody that, Timothy, are you aware that that food that you guys ate, that guy doesn't know how that food came about? I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. He said, a day to the wedding, like 2 or 3 days to the wedding, they kept calling him, bring food stuff, let's prepare. He wasn't picking their call any longer. I was like, oh, no wonder he wasn't picking my calls too. So a day to the wedding, they called and called. This guy's phone was off. They had to start donating within themselves. This one brought one rubber of rice. This other one rubber of rice. Like, everybody had to start donating rice. And this one brought meat. They went to the market, got tomato and all that. And they were able to cook that food that day. I was like, so, and this guy had the mind and the effrontery to sit down, was eating the food with all pride. So what am I trying to say? Like, though he's happily married now, fine, good, thank God for that. But there is need to prepare yourself financially. There's need to prepare yourself emotionally. There's need to prepare yourself spiritually before going into the institution called marriage. Likewise, to the individuals getting married, there should be something called collaboration. The young man should be able to understand the person that he or she is getting married to. And the lady also should be able to understand the person that she is also getting married to. Is something very, very important when it comes to marital affairs. Marriage is very, very important. But the ability for you to prepare yourself before going into marriage, I think, is more important. How well are you preparing? How well are you preparing for the institution called marriage? As a young boy, as a young girl, how well are you preparing? Are you actually preparing for marriage, end quote? Are you preparing? That should be a question that you should ask yourself. Are you preparing? If you are, then kudos. But if you aren't, I think it's time for you to start preparing for that institution called marriage, because you are not going to live there anytime soon. You're not going to live if you're actually going to marry according to God's will and plan. You're not going to live there anytime soon. So there is need to prepare extensively for it. Give us a few seconds. We'll be right back. Thank you. Hey, thank you for coming back. You're welcome once again to another segment. So we are still hoping to get through to our guest this evening. We're having some network glitch. That's why we have to wait that long. Thank you for joining us. We're very, very happy that you're joining. So we're going straight to the topic as we have actually started discussing already. What is your take on the issue of marriage? Marriage, as we know, happens to be an institution between a male and a female, a man and a woman. So before you go into it, there are a few things that you actually need to learn as an individual and also as a team. Yeah, a family is meant to be a team. The father, the mother, probably the children along the line as they start coming. So what are the things that you need to know in preparing for marriage? How many books have you read before you decide to say I do? How many books have you read? How many? I know definitely you can't know them all. I'm very, very well assured that you can't actually know everything that has to do with marriage, but to an extent, you should have prepared yourself. You should have learned some things. You should have read some books. I've seen a couple of books that some great ministers of God have read. So you should have actually gone through some of those books, know what the books, what they're all about, know what the essence of those books, the books that talks about marriage. I've actually gone online to look for some couple of books about marriage that talks about your relationship life, that talks about how you relate with people, that talks about how you get to probably connect with people, how you get to have this relationship with people. There are some persons they hardly communicate. They lack communication. A home where there is no communication, I think that home is already faulty, because that is the main or the key thing that is needed in any home. Communication. There should be not just communication, proper communication. When there's a proper communication, I think the home is sure of getting its needed, I call it victory to an extent. When there's proper communication, when there is a proper usage of language, I think such home is sure of being okay to an extent. Before you prepare for marriage, how well are you okay? I don't want to use the word financially. How well are you okay mentally? Yeah, I think that's the right word for now. How well are you mentally? Have you actually checked my temperament, the temperament of this young man, the temperament of this young lady? Is there any correlation between the two temperaments? Is there any proper connection between these two temperaments? Is it that when I'm going to be at home with this person, help me to fulfill my destiny? Will this person help me to fulfill the will of God and the plan of God for my life and for my destiny? These are the things that you need to look at before going into marriage, before going to say, yes, I do. These are the things that you must have to look at. You don't just wake up and rush into marriage without having a clear understanding about what marriage actually is. Have you checked? Oh, probably you've been in courtship for like 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and the person is literally hitting you while still doing your courtship. So I think you should understand the fact that all these things, they should be well looked at before you can go into the institution called marriage. That is the mistake of a whole lot of persons today. That is the mistake that so many people they are making in their various endeavors before they decide to go into the institution called marriage. They don't even have a clear understanding of what marriage is. They don't even have a clear understanding of what it entails, the holistic view about the institution called marriage. It's an institution that you will never graduate as an individual. So you must understand that fact. And it's only when you understand that fact, that is when you can actually help yourself and also prepare for the institution called marriage. Before we continue this evening, our guest is already seated in our studio, and we are happy that our guest is here, though we had some slight delay this evening, but thank God that we're still able to get our guest this evening. We just want to welcome our guest this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome to Sir Tim-Osa Media Weekly Talk Show. I know you had a busy schedule today, but thank you for still finding that time to join us in our studio this evening. How was your day?
Thank you very much. Very fine. How was yours?
It was okay. Thank God for His mercy. So, this evening, as you've clearly known, our audience, they're already waiting. They have been waiting for them to see you. But before that, we don't actually have time to read through your bio. Probably you should just tell us within a few seconds. Can you please introduce yourself so that our audience, they will get to know you better, sir?
All right. My name is Joshua Ogbaneme, and I am, by the grace of God, a USA certified marriage mentor and relationship coach. And by the grace of God, I am the founder of the Valiant Generation Mentorship Club, and also the founder of Gospel Outreach for Marriage Mentoring and Home Affairs. That is just being brief. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful introduction. Mr. Joshua is someone that probably I've been following him for quite some time now. I've been a kind of a mentee from Milestone. So I guess probably he didn't know, but I've been part of his program so far. I've been learning a lot. So I bet you, when somebody saw he was the one we are going to be inviting for this program, the lady shouted. She was like, "Wow, that is my mentor." So you'll be able to get my mentor to come over to this program. So we are happy that you are here this evening, and we just want to go straight to what we have at hand. Sir, we're looking at the issue of marriage. Before you say "I do," the things that we need to know before we get into marriage. I, for one, am a bachelor. I'm not married yet, so I have my pen. I'm going to be writing, and I'm going to be jotting down a whole lot of things this evening because I am ready to learn and ready to be imparted this evening. Is it actually possible to have a perfect home?
Yes, by the grace of God, marriage is God's institution, and He's the initiator of it, and not man. God is the initiator of marriage. And when He made man and woman, He said that they were perfect. They were perfect. All right. So we can actually have a godly home and not a perfect home. Please let me get this clear. Perfection is an illusion. Perfection is an illusion. When you say, if I should answer in the affirmative that there is such a thing called a perfect home, if that means that the man is perfect, the woman is perfect, the children are perfect, but none of us is perfect. And that is why there is what we call the ideal home, the godly home, the God-centered home, the home centered on God, on values that are time tested. Okay, so we can have happy marriages, We can have godly marriages, but we cannot have perfect marriages. We can't have perfect homes. All right? Because in the first place, your choice, your decision to marry who you married was not perfect. But you can say it is a godly decision. All right? A
Yes, sir.
person can make a godly decision, a godly choice of a partner, but you can never find anyone who made a perfect choice. No, it is an illusion. It is just a kind of presumption, right? So you cannot make a perfect decision of who to marry, but you can make a godly decision. You can make a God-pleasing, and that is the problem. That is the problem we have. Young people want to make a perfect decision. You can't find this anywhere else. You can't find any such thing in the world of a perfect mate. There is no such person that exists. There is no such person that exists. The only one who is a perfect friend and who is a perfect partner is God Almighty. So, but you can have a God, you can have a happy home, you can have a fulfilling home, but the word perfect is ruled out. And I love the way you started with the question, because that is why people fear marriage and fear commitment, because they don't want to make mistakes. They don't want to be wrong, all right? But the truth is that the first few days after your wedding, you will actually be tempted to ask yourself some question. Have I made a good choice? Because you will encounter challenges, you will encounter problems, but that is what, yes, I'm telling you from experience. Without being sentimental, I must be transparent. Few days after my wedding, I'm still asking myself some question. Did I make a great choice? Praise the Lord. But then I understood that love is commitment. Love is commitment. So you can be both committed partners. You can both be complementing one another. You can both be fulfilling one another. But you cannot be perfect mates. No. Perfection is an illusion. Get that down. Perfection is an illusion. You can have a perfect home, but you can have a godly home. And a godly home is not equal to a perfect home. Because when we say perfection, no mistakes, no error, no flaws, no challenges. Because we are coming into a home with our wound, with our presumptions, with our ideas and ideologies are not perfect. But when we come together, we can actually make a perfect match. We can't have a perfect home. We can have a perfect match. Please, I am trying to be logical and systematic in what I'm saying.
We are getting it, sir. We are getting it. Continue, sir.
All right. You can have a perfect home. You can have a perfect match. All right. You can have a perfect match. It's like bringing two people together. These have weaknesses, and this other one have strength. The strengths of this person cover for this other person, and the strength of this person covers for the flaws and the weaknesses of this other person. So we say they are perfect match. You can have a perfect match. You can have a perfect home. You can have a perfect marriage. A perfect match is not the same as a perfect marriage. All right. You can have a perfect match, all right, by principle. But to say that you have a perfect marriage is not correct. Because when you say you have a perfect marriage, it then means that you are concluding on your destiny already. But meanwhile, marriage is a process. Marriage is a journey. It's a journey you begin with the end in mind. So by calling a marriage perfect, you are saying that the marriage is finished. by saying that a marriage is perfect, you are actually saying that the marriage is finished.
Oh.
It's finished already. But yet, marriage is a process, is a journey, all right? And there are ups and downs. Somebody said that love, the growth of love is not a straight line. The growth of love is hills and valleys. It goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down. So by saying that there is a perfect home, it means that you are leaving no room for growth. You are leaving no room for growth. And it is not correct. It is not correct.
Thank you very much, sir. We in fact, this is just an introduction, and we are, in fact, our books, they're already getting filled up already. It means this evening is going to be a wonderful time because I'm going to be loaded. In fact, maybe after this marriage or after this mentorship program, probably I have to take the step of doing the right thing that I'm supposed to do all this while, because I, for one, have been so much afraid of the institution called marriage. So, sir, I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. We look at the for people that want to actually go into the institution called marriage. There are a whole lot of things that they are supposed to know before they get into the marriage, which actually is the holistic view of what we are looking at this evening. So can you just probably briefly tell us some of those things that people wish to know before they go into the institution called marriage?
First of all, they must know the principles. They must know, first of all, the principles that makes a great marriage. The principles that makes a great marriage. Number one. There are other things I'm going to mention. Number one, they must know that make a great marriage. Number two, they must make provision for a sustainable marriage. The principles. You see, partners who want to get married, partners who want to come together in marriage, in wedlock, must understand that their principles, they are undergirding principles, fundamental principles, foundational principles that govern marriage. And if any of these principles is compromised, if any of these principles is violated, you can't have a great marriage. It's not possible. It's not possible. You're going to have a marriage full of frustration and full of, challenges here and there. So number one is the principle of receiving. The principle of receiving. If you are ready for marriage, one thing that you will know is that the principle of receiving governs marriage. You must be ready to receive your partner as a gift. You must be ready to receive your partner as a gift and not a project. Not a project. All right? There are many people who take their partners like a project. No, your partner is a gift. It is God's provision for you. All right? It is God's provision for you. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
So you need to accept your partner as a gift from God and not a project. You must wholeheartedly receive her and receive him. If you don't receive a person as a gift, then you don't understand love. You don't understand love at all. So you've got to receive your partner as a gift, as a provision from God and not a project. Not a project. It's a gift to be cherished. It's a gift to nurture. It's a gift to keep. It's a gift to preserve. It's a gift to be grateful for. That is number one. Number two, the principle of living. The principle of living. The principle of living. Many couples that are married have not left their parents. All right? They've not left their parents yet. The umbilical cord. Yes, but they are married. So, but they are partially married to their parents. All right. So the umbilical cord of allegiance and dependency has not been severed, have not been broken, have not been cut yet. There are some partners whose allegiance is to their parents. Their loyalty is first of all to their parents, and it is wrong. It is wrong. Your first loyalty is to your partner. Is to your partner. Some others, their first loyalty is to their mentor, is to their spiritual leader. But your primary loyalty is to your partner, is to your mate. All right. So you got to understand the principle of living. You must emotionally be detached from other ties. Yes, from other ties. As a man, you call a lady your best friend, you must be ready to relinquish that relationship. Yes, you must be ready to give up on every other person but your partner. You must honor the principle of living. So your loyalty is to your partner and not to your parents or anybody else. Then dependency, the umbilical cord of dependency must be broken. The umbilical cord of dependency must be broken. You must break that dependent spirit. Going to your parents to ask money for feeding is not right. It's wrong. It's wrong. Depending on your parents for the final judgment in situations and concerns in your family is wrong. It's wrong. But some people today, they depend on their parents, they depend on other people to give them answers that should meet their life challenges. All right. So it is not right. It is not proper. It is not proper. Okay. So the umbilical cord of dependency and allegiance must be cut, must be severed, must be broken. It is very important. It is very important. The principle of receiving, the principle of living, and the principle of cleaving. The principle of cleaving. We must understand that principle primarily, that we've got to cleave to the one we marry. There are those who have cleaved to their partner, and there are those who are just merely cohabiting. So we have two kinds of marriages. Marriages where partners are cohabiting, and marriages where partners are cleaving to themselves. So you will find these two groups of marriages everywhere. They are everywhere. So it's either both of you are cohabiting or both of you are cleaving together to be one, that you are making a commitment to be faithful to one another. You are making a commitment to form a bond of love. Yes. So number 4 principle is the principle of becoming one, the principle of oneness, the principle of oneness. These principles must be correctly understood, and you must be ready to apply them in marriage for the marriage to prosper, for the marriage to work. So the principle of oneness is important. The principle of oneness is important. Number two, what singles should know is that they must make provision for the marriage. They must make provision for the marriage.
Yes, sir.
Physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, you must make provision. As you are entering marriage, you must not have spiritual deficits and moral deficits. Yes, you must not be morally bankrupt, spiritually bankrupt, or financially bankrupt. It is wrong. If you are bankrupt and just trusting on the grace of God, the grace of God to do something good for you while you are bankrupt, it is not proper. You must make provision financially. You must have a reserve of financial, capital to build your home. The marriage needs money. Home needs money. Families need money. All right.
Yes, sir.
So it is important, it's critical, it is crucial that you have a financial reserve that can take the family for like 3 months, even if you don't work. If you will not work for 3 months, will your reserve take care of the 3 of you or the 2 of you? Maybe you hope to start childbirth 5 years after the wedding. Will your financial capital take you both, that you have economic balance in the home? Apart from financial reserve or financial capital, if you like, you must have moral capital. You must not have deficits in your morality. You must not have a deficit in your morality. You must be morally upright. You must make provision for character. You must make provision for a strong character. Every strong marriage depends and rests on 2 people whose character is solid. Their character must be solid. Yes, it must be solid. So you must not have moral deficits. It is important. It is important. If you are still struggling with issues of sexual faithfulness and sexual fidelity, you still engage in sexual indiscretion, you are not fit yet for marriage. You are not ready yet for marriage because you have a morality deficit. You have a morality deficit. Then another thing that we need to consider very important is spiritual capital. Yes, spiritual capital. Spiritual capital. You must be spiritually developed. You must be spiritually mature. All right. And maturity means different things to different people. But in the Bible, maturity means only one thing. Maturity means thinking like Christ, behaving like Christ, wanting to act like Christ. So you must not have spiritual deficits. You must not have spiritual deficits because there are 5 things that kill marriage. 5 things. 5 things that kill marriage. One of them is spiritual attack. Spiritual attack. Number 2 is stress. Stress. Number 3 is financial fight. All right. Money fight. Money fight. Money fight. MONEY. Money fight. Number 4 is silence. Silence. Number 1, I said spiritual attack. Number 2, I said stress. Number 3, I said money fights. Number 4, I said silence. All right. Then number 5, the things that actually kill marriage is destructive words. Destructive words. Destructive words. So if you don't have a moral deficit, that means that your moral strength will not allow you to use destructive words. So you have conquered the killer of destructive words. If you have a strong spiritual life, a vibrant spiritual life, it then means that you cannot suffer spiritual attack and lose in the battle of life. Yes, I know that you are streaming this whole thing to the whole wide world. And some people don't actually believe that there are such thing called spiritual attack. But it is true. As a Christian, I have an orientation that we war not after the flesh, we war against spiritual wickedness in high places. So as a couple, you are coming together. Love is not enough. Love is not enough. Evaluate the spiritual life of your partner. All right? Does she have the capacity to build you up, to help you stand, to encourage you to stay steady in the fight of life? Because marriage is fundamentally a fight. That is, if your marriage has the weight of destiny upon it, if your marriage has the weight of destiny, Satan will come after it. Devils will come after it. So you must have a spiritual reserve. You must have spiritual capital enough to deal with the enemy when he attacks. Number 1, you must have financial reserve, financial capital. You must have moral capital. When you have financial capital, sorry, I'm going back. You see, money fights will not be a problem. Money fights. Money fight is really an issue. I have had my share of it. I've had my share of money fights. So, and as partners, that is actually going to help you stay out of the fight. Yes, it is how you are able to utilize resources, your means and your options. Very important. Very important. So another thing that you must have emotional capital. You must be emotionally strong for marriage. Permit me to say this. Permit me to say this. Some people are not spiritually strong, but their emotional strength covers for them. That is why you ask some people, say, but the couples are not spiritual. They're not spiritual because they have emotional strength. It is important. It is emotional strength. I am tempted to say that emotional strength could even be the most important of all the capitals that you have. You must be emotionally strong. Not every little thing you are crying. Every little thing you are bitter. You are feeling like a victim. All right? There are partners who always play the victim. From the start of the marriage, to the end of the marriage, they are always playing the victim. Why? Because they lack emotional strength. Imagine somebody coming into your life. You have 100% emotional reserve, and a person coming into your life is coming with 2% emotional reserve. You are going to be the hell of marriage. It can't work. It can't work. So you've got to have enough emotional reserve. You've got to be strong inside. You must have healed. Yes. You must have healed of the wounds that you are carrying. You must have let some emotional garbages out of your life, so that you are coming into marriage to start on a clean slate. It is important. It is crucial this happens. So you must make provision for it. There are two things singles must know. They must know the principles that build marriage. They must know the principles that build marriage. Number two, they must know the provisions they must make. The provisions they must make for marriage. Very important. Number three, they must understand the patterns. They must understand the relational patterns that exist between them. They must understand you see, every marriage is unique as the fingerprints of the partners. Every marriage is unique. That is why if you are giving counsel to marriages at risk, you can't give an answer of a size that fits all. No. That is why coaches like us who have to evaluate the patterns in the marriage, the patterns of their relationship, how they think, how they communicate, how they relate. So if you are getting into marriage with a person, what you must do is that you must understand the patterns that exist between both of you relationally. What are the patterns? How does it think? How does this woman think? So you can almost predict what will be her response in certain situations of life. There are husbands, their wife, who can predict the actions of their partners. Their partners are still like something strange to them. They can't predict that, oh, in this situation, my partner will act this way. My partner will behave this way. So it is sacrosanct. It is fundamental. It is crucial for partners who are going into marriage to study the patterns of their relationship. All right? So before the marriage, you are already making up your mind to be the student of your partner. You've got to make up your mind to be the student of your partner. So these are the things to get ready for marriage.
Thank you very much, sir, for that class. I can call it a class because I've had my books. In fact, they are filled already. You actually said something now that struck my attention, like that we must be ready to be the student of your partner. Is that coming from the aspect of the ladies or the aspect of the men or the guys in the marriage?
All right, very important. You see, marriage is partnership. Marriage is partnership. That's why we must try to keep balance. We must try to stay and keep balanced in marriage. The man should become the student of the wife, and the wife should become the student of the man. Till death do them part. I know somebody will come up with a Bible reference, speaking from the Christian angle, that the Bible only told, or the Bible only exhorts men to dwell with their wife according to knowledge. So there's no place in the Bible where the man is supposed to be studying the woman supposed to be studying the man, or the man, but the man studying the woman. But the truth is that it takes knowledge to keep a marriage. It takes knowledge to keep a marriage. That is why you can have a virtuous man and a virtuous woman still having troubles in marriage. You must have knowledge of yourselves. You must have, apart from sexual knowledge, carnal knowledge. No. I don't mean carnal knowledge of yourselves before the marriage proper. I actually mean that you understand your personalities. I came across a couple and I asked the man, what is the temperament of your wife? It was like, temperament. And this is a bachelor degree holder. He does not know the temperament of his wife. I turned to the wife. I said, woman, what is the temperament of your man? He does not know. And we have the temperaments as promoted or as postulated by Tim LaHaye. We have phlegmatic, we have sanguine, we have choleric, and we have a phlegmatic, we have sanguine, we have melancholy. Melancholy, yes. And so I was disturbed that this enlightened men or this enlightened couple do not understand that there is such a thing called temperament, and that temperament is fundamental in how people behave. You can actually predict the behavior of your partner if you know his or her temperament. So how can you go into marriage as a woman without understanding that your man is coming into your life with a set of temperaments, all right, that cannot be changed? Temperaments cannot be changed. They can only be controlled by the Spirit of God. We can only bring our temperament under the control of the Holy Spirit. You can't change them. If you are a sanguine, you are a sanguine for life. If you are melancholy, you are melancholy for life. And sometimes your husband is sad and moody, and you are trying to figure out what you have done wrong. But if you understand that your husband is a melancholy, you won't feel guilty.
Yeah,
right? So guilty that what have I done now? This man is just moody. This man is just feeling as if he's alone. What have I done? And they are guilt tripping themselves. Yes, and it is because they don't know that because their husband is a melancholy, naturally their husband sometimes may feel depressed. As a perfectionist. He feels depressed over his perfectionism and all that. So it is a two-way thing. Husbands must study their wives till death do them part, and wives must study their husbands till death do them part. It is a joint study. It is a joint study. That is why it is called institution. It is called, we go there to learn.
Okay. To all our viewers at home, we have before us Mr. Joshua. Is a mentor when it comes to marriage and family life. I've learned so much from him, and this evening, in fact, if you've been following us, you could understand that it has been a wonderful time here in the studio. So he has been dealing with the issues of before you say I do, or the things that you need to know before you get into the institution called marriage. So it's not something that you should just wake up one morning and you just jump into it. So that brings me to my fear, Mr. Joshua. I for one, I'm one person that is afraid of that institution called marriage. I must be very, very sincere with you, because though I've counseled people to get into it, I've assisted people to get into it, but taking the bold step seems to be something that looks impossible. When I mean impossible, it's not that I'm not ready financially, it's not that I'm not ready emotionally, it's not that I'm not ready spiritually, but I just see that going into this thing has a way of draining you, has a way of changing your whole being. Like I am one person that I have a lot of friends as well, both the male folks and the female folks. Like I have a lot of them on my list, and going along with one person for life, and you just have to probably push every other person away, actually is a fear on my part. So how do one deal with such issue?
All right. For men in particular, because you use yourself as a case study, so I will start from there. All right. Men in particular are afraid of commitment. A man is not afraid of marriage. All right. There is nobody who is actually in the real sense afraid of marriage. All right. Because he has not got in there already. A man is afraid of commitment. And why is he afraid of commitment? He's actually afraid of failure. Yes. The greatest fear of a man is the fear of failure. And the greatest fear of a woman is the fear of rejection. That is it. That is it. The greatest fear of a man as he approaches marriage is the fear of failure. And the greatest fear of a woman, quote me anywhere, is the fear of rejection. They both have they both have their share of fear. All right. But for men, I think it is more obvious, or it is obvious, all right? It is obvious that we are afraid of relationship, because for us, we know instinctively, we know that marriage is a commitment. We know it. But for the fear that we are not ready for commitment yet, that is the reason why we don't take the first. Not we, because I am married. That is why singles don't take the bold step. Praise God. Yes, singles don't take the bold step. And the cure for it is to be secure in who you are. The cure, the antidote for it, yes, is for a man to be secure in who he is. Be secured in his manhood. You see, many men have been emasculated, right? That is the truth. They have been emasculated. Many male beings called men are actually they don't understand this thing called manhood. Their masculine power. They don't know. So, first of all, you are afraid, presumption of commit a man. You are designed to be adventurous and to have ambition and to be successful. So you fear failure. You fear failure because you are insecure in who you are. That is the truth. Not many people will appreciate this truth, but that is the truth. When you are insecure in who you are only going into marriage to fail. If you are going into marriage, going into marriage and you are insecure, you know, this security I'm talking about is on different levels. All right. Some persons are so secured that they can go for any job interview with the confidence in themselves that they can succeed, because they feel they've acquired the skill, they've acquired the learning and the knowledge and the basic principles for their life work. So when they go for interview, they go boldly to conquer. They don't fear failure. But for relationship, for the fear that it is a lifetime, a lifelong affair, so they fear failure, and the backdrop of that fear of failure is insecurity. And I say the cure for fear of failure, which is the cure for the fear of commitment, which is the cure for the fear of marriage, is that you are secure in who you are. You are secure in your ability to keep and sustain a relationship. And why, in the first place, why are people insecure? Why are people insecure? Because in the first place, they have been doing relationships badly. If you can't point to a relationship that have lasted for 5 years, 4 years, whether male to male or male to female, you can't point to one, you have every reason to be insecure. Yes, you have every reason, because you know in you or within you that you have not developed the skills. Because good relationship takes skills, it demands skills, good skills. So if you don't have the skill, you have every reason to be insecure. Just imagine somebody approaching an interviewer for a job, and in his heart of hearts, he does not have the skill required to receive that employment, there is a way he will approach the interviewer, and you can sense that this person is insecure, or he or she does not have the boldness, the confidence to get the job. So if you don't have the skills, to build relationship, or you cannot, you don't have any history of any healthy relationship, then you have a cause to feel insecure. All right. So what is important is that you start developing the skills. You start cultivating the skills that are required for good relationships and lasting marriages. That is the secret behind it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua, for that teaching, because we are here to learn this evening. And I tell you, after this teaching, a lot of things will be changing in my own life and also in the life of others that are listening to us this evening, and probably those that will listen to the program after now. So that will not lead us to the fear of probably a broken home, because you as you said earlier on, that people, they're actually afraid of something they haven't gotten into, and which actually is a challenge. Yes, because they are afraid of, oh, how will I go about this? How will this marriage actually work? Looking at the society today, the society is already polluted when it comes to issues of people walking out of marriage. It's not that common back home in Nigeria, but over here in the United Kingdom, the broken home is actually a major problem. That is a normal thing that you can just wake up one morning and you just walk out of it. So you looking at those things, people begin to have this kind of fear inside of them to actually walk down the aisle with their heart rubbed when it comes to the issues of marriage. One that is faced with such challenges, what do you think such a person should do?
All right. Fundamentally, it is important to understand marriage as a covenant and not a contract. It is important to understand marriage as a covenant and not a contract. So what you need to do as a person is to evaluate the spiritual quotient, the spiritual intelligence of the person you are marrying. Very important. You must share your philosophies of marriage. Very important, very important. More than all the romantic activities you do in courtship. What is most important is that you understand your philosophies of marriage. When two people come together for marriage, they are actually coming into marriage with perhaps different ideologies and philosophies. One comes into marriage thinking that, well, anytime I feel a kind of discomfort in marriage, I can always walk out. Yes, they have a failure-prone mentality. They have a failure-prone mentality that, oh, marriage can fail at any time, and I am not obliged. I'm not obliged to build it, to work on it. Not many people take marriage to be. I think fundamentally, it is a problem of philosophy. It's a problem of the mindset. When you get into marriage, believing that marriage is a contract, of course, I can tell that the marriage is bound to crash at some point. I can almost prophesy that such a marriage will crash at some point. But when you come into marriage with the understanding that it is a covenant, it is a different thing entirely. All right? Another philosophy that people go into marriage with is that good marriages just happen. You don't have to work on it. You don't have to work on the marriage. All right? Good marriages just happen. When you enter into marriage with a philosophy that good marriages just happen, nobody builds it, nobody develops it, nobody contributes, nobody makes input, nobody kind of make contributions, to build their self-worth, to accentuate their self-worth. It is going to crash. Good marriages don't just happen. Good relationships don't just happen. People must, it is hard work. It takes effort. It takes concentration. Just by the wayside, somebody asked the question. He said, is marriage an achievement? And I said, if marriage is not an achievement, then I don't know anything on earth that is an achievement. Because marriage takes work, it takes effort, it takes concentration of the mind, of the body, of the spirit. Everything within you must be concentrated to doing the work of marriage. But when you enter into marriage with a philosophy that is going to work, it's going to happen all by itself, then it is bound to fail. So what is the solution? What is the answer? Is that the people coming together for marriage must begin to renew their minds concerning marriage. Like where you are now, brother, where you are in the Western world, they have a very bad philosophy. Sorry to say that, but it is generally understood that marriage is a contract, is a legal contract, not a spiritual covenant. That is the truth. 80% of those where you reside now will tell you that it is a contract. So at any time, I can quit. I can call it quits. And you have no right to ask me to stay, to keep building, to keep developing, to keep cultivating the marriage. No, I don't have such time. If the marriage will work, it should be. Oh, Sarah, whatever will be. The future is not mine to see. So that is the mindset, that is the philosophy of marriage that people hold as they go into it. So couples, intending couples or married couples must work at reorienting themselves of what marriage is about. That it is a covenant, that it takes work, it takes joint effort, it takes two healthy people to make a good and a great marriage. So that is the answer, that is the key to doing it, to lasting change. If a change will be initiated that will last, it must begin with the mind. It must begin with the transformation of philosophies, dumping the old and defective philosophies and receiving and accepting the philosophies that make marriages work for a lifetime.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua, for that. As we continue to look at this issue of challenges that people probably face before they say, yes, I do. I would want the viewers to understand that the essence of all this is for us to have a marriage that is enjoyable. It's for us to have a marriage that is something that you can actually be proud to say, oh, I'm married to my partner, and ever since I'm married, I'm happy that I actually went into this marriage with this person that God has actually given to me. Here comes another areas that people actually have problems too. There's a popular saying that goes that you can't just go to the market to get something that you haven't tested. I guess that this might not be the first time that you should be hearing this. That they will not just go to the market and they also equate that to the marital affairs before they actually go into the marriage and proper. They want to have what is called sexual affairs with their partners and their intending partners, so-called. So how do people deal with issues of orgies or sexual orgies before marriage?
Questions like this will take us back to the beginning of time. All right, sexual urge is a phenomenon. It's something that we can't kill. We can't ask God to kill it. We can't ask God to destroy it. All right, we can only bring it under control. We can only manage our sexual urge. We can't kill it. We can't destroy it, because it is the phenomenon for every normal, healthy person of testing your partner sexually before getting married to him or her is an idea of people who don't understand the biblical precepts for making a great marriage. That is why I started by saying that you've got to go back to the beginning when God instituted marriage. I did say that when starting marriage, the intending couples must understand the principle of receiving. They must receive one another as a gift. Adam received Eve as a gift, not like a project to start working on. If Adam approached Eve like a project, he will start working on how more sexually appealing Eve is. All right, he will like, oh well, Eve does not look sexually appealing. Let me work on this area. No, he accepted Eve as God gave her to him as a provision. Eve never asked God, does this girl know how to kiss before? No. Does this person know how to cook? Does this person know how to snore properly? Does this person know how to dress? No. Adam accepted Eve as a gift. So we must understand that true love, if we love a person enough, the truth is that we don't want to violate their sexual purity. That is the truth I know from time go. The true test that you love someone. Let me just say it here now. Maybe somebody will come across this and ask, how can I tell that I love a person? The true test that you love a person is that you never ever want to violate the integrity of that person. Whether their moral integrity or sexual integrity, you don't want to violate the integrity of the person. That is the truth. Yes, you will be tempted. Very, very often you will be tempted. There are times I was tempted to, ask my partner before we wedded whether to come sleep over to in his room, in our room. Yes, those are temptations. Those are things you hear around. Can I come over to just spend the night there? That is a temptation. But if love is at work, real principled love, not just the one you pick in the bush, but genuine love, the last thing that will happen, and it will be on your death, that you want to violate the integrity of the person. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So lust is fully in operation when you cultivate a desire. I did not say have a desire to have sexual pleasure with your fiancé or your fiancé. It is normal. If you are a person who does not have a desire to have sexual pleasure with your intending mate or your prospect, you should actually check yourself medically if you are a normal person, if you are okay. So that is why I am picking my words carefully. If you begin to cultivate the desire to violate her sexual purity or sexual integrity, you know that lust has fully taken the stage. Lust is fully in operation. And anywhere lust enters, it does damage. It does damage. I met a brother and sister in a particular church setting. I actually went to that church as their leader. This brother and sister would have been one of the best couple I can ever testify of in the world, honestly speaking. As young people in the polytechnic where I was then, far back as 6 to 7 years now, they were very good friends, outwardly speaking. But I got to know that the young man was violating the integrity, the sexual purity of the lady. Honestly, that was how love turns sour. So true love can actually turn sour. And you know what, for men, not for women. You see, men give love to get sex. Women give sex to get love. That is why the toll is very heavy on the women. Every time a man gives love, check, examine, evaluate, look into it very well. The man is actually asking for the body of the lady. Anytime a lady gives her body, it is not because she wants to do that. Actually, women cherish their bodies very, very, very. Forget the fact that there are prostitutes out there. Demons are at work But the normal sane woman values her body. So she believes that she's giving you a highest value by giving you her body as a man, believing that in exchange, she's going to get love. But when the testing comes, the testing of the bodies, all right, let me test you whether you are sexually all right. The man's love, so-called, begins to deplete. Yes. That is why when a woman keeps her body away from the man's bed, the man will continue to long for her. So the easiest way to destroy the longing of a man for you is to give him your body, is to just give yourself away. That is the easiest way to kill love and to cause it to die and wither. So it is very important, because men actually long for things that are beyond their reach. Yes. The more a thing is beyond the reach of a man, the more he values it. The more he values it. The more, let me rephrase. The more a thing is beyond the reach of a man, the more he values it. The more value he places on it. So when a woman gives herself away cheap on the bed of the man, all right, to be violated, I'm telling you something, the man feels that, well, I've reached the peak of it. I've reached the peak of this pursuit. I'm not pursuing anymore. So I won't go on anymore. But respect comes to stay. Respect lingers. Respect continues if the woman holds herself, keeps her dignity, protects herself, and raises boundaries around her to protect her sexual purity and her sexual integrity. It is very important. So that mindset must begin to change. I think that mindset of testing one another, all right, testing yourself sexually, is being perpetuated because of the philosophy that giving yourselves away sexually makes your love deeper. Oh, that is a lie. I have just discounted that now. I've just debunked that giving yourselves away sexually does not make your love solid, does not make your love fair. Actually, it weakens and kills genuine love. It weakens and kills genuine love. Because once you give yourselves, sexually, shame enters. All right? And when you know that you can look at yourselves with shame, you know that you have been wrongly connected. Because when Adam and Eve were joined together, they could see themselves and feel no shame. They were emotionally vulnerable to one another without fear, without shame. But once a lady or a man gives away himself or gives away herself sexually, shame, fear walks into that relationship and destroys it. So it is important. Let's not forget that principle. Especially the ladies in the house here, listen to me. You are listening to me right now. Listen to me very well. The more a man finds it difficult to apprehend a thing, the more value he places on it. So if a man knows that he cannot get your body until marriage, he places value on you. He places a high value on you. And even after marriage, that value stays. That value is stamped on you. So you go about carrying yourself like a person of value, knowing that there is a man in your life to affirm that you are a person of value. That is important.
God will help us.
Yeah.
The generation that we find ourselves, there are a lot of misconception about premarital affairs, like what they ought to know and what they ought not to know, what they ought to do and what they ought not to do, because some of these things they are not talked about in most of our religious organizations, like our place of worship and all that. They hardly talk about things that probably I don't know, maybe it will defy the people or something. So talking about things like this is actually a big challenge. But thank God we have men like you that is standing up to actually teach the youth and the young adults the need to stand firm and to stand pure before they walk down the aisle with their heart rubbed. So though our time is fast spent, because I know we actually have a couple of questions here to talk about, but our time has gone. I don't know if we can just take a few minutes of your time more before we call it.
Yes, with all
Okay.
pleasure, with all
Okay.
pleasure.
Thank you very much,
Let
sir.
me make my lateness.
So,
I'm sorry.
the other, sorry, say what?
I said, I'm sorry for my lateness once
Oh, no,
more.
we understand, sir. We understand. So, we have a lot of misconception too when it comes to this issue of marriage or before people get into marriage. We've talked about
Yeah.
the issue of testing what they ought to get before they get into marriage, and also we have this issue of compatibility. People saying, oh, I know you've talked about temperament. This person knows how to talk. This person doesn't know. This person doesn't communicate well. In quotes, this person is short, and this other person is tall. These are misconceptions. I, for one, have had my own share of whether one is tall and short, because we that are closer to the ground, it's quite difficult to get probably somebody you're being led to is quite taller than you, and you see issues will begin to fall out because they feel that, okay, this person is not that tall for me to actually go down with. So when it comes to issues like that, how do people deal with it before marriage? Because if they have to go into the marriage with such a negative misconception that, oh, I'm tall, this person is short, and they just want to probably please the person and go into the marriage, I guess it's going to bring issues later on when they are married. So how do they deal with it before they go into the marriage?
Well, I think you have, the issue raised is heavy on appearance, is heavy on the physical attributes of the person you are getting married to, the physical attributes of the person you are getting married to. And that is the problem we have in our generation. I taught somewhere of what is called value-driven mate selection. Value-driven mate selection. That is the only selection process or selection principle that you actually really falter, in the real sense that you can say that, oh, you made a mistake somewhere. Because if you choose a person based on values, not physical attributes per se, not physical attributes. Physical attributes encompass the height of the person, the fatness of the person or the thinness of the person, the complexion of the person, the outspokenness of a person. You won't get married. You won't get married. Okay, let me use myself as a case study, as an example. All right, I actually married my opposites in almost everything. Everything. I actually married my opposite in everything. There are things I don't know how to do again now because I just need to, align with my partner. There are things I don't know how to do again. Not because they are bad, not because they are sinful. They are good. But just because it will not allow for harmony, I let those things go. But my choice, the selection process of that, the process that was engaged when I was making a selection for my mates, was not actually based on physical attributes, whether she was tall, whether she was, if it was that, honestly, I tell you, I actually will go for tall people, and I actually will go for dark skinned people. Praise God. But the opposite was the person I married. Yes, not that tall. Yes, I have had people walk into my life who were actually tall, in the sense that tall, but I didn't have the impression very deep within me to forge ahead to make marriage plans with them. I didn't have that deep conviction, and I didn't see the values that I wanted in a partner. All right. So there were values that I cherished. There were values I wanted to see every day of my life. Every day of my life, I want to see those values reinforced in my family. I found it in the person I married. But talking about the physical attributes, they are a whole different thing entirely. So compatibility is not primarily, should not primarily be based on the physical attributes. All right, because people change. People change. If you are looking for a thin person, you will be surprised. During childbirth, the lady is blown into a balloon. It's big, and you are wondering, this is not the shape I was in love with. I fell in love with. So if you fall in love with shape, then the antenatal period will tell you that you fell badly. Yes, because the woman becomes fat, her face is very dull, and she becomes very ugly, and you don't like what you see. So you have to fall again to the right person, which means that you have to fall out of the marriage. You have to fall out of the marriage. But if you are connected with the values that are unchanging, because values don't actually change, values are constant per se. Values are constant. So compatibility should be a value thing. It should be a thing of value, not a thing of physical attributes and chemical reactions. There are people when they see themselves, they are so excited. Oh, I love you. But that whole story changes when they enter marriage. That whole story changes when they enter marriage because they fell in love with the outward person. And very, very few people have the courage and the guts to look beyond the exterior into the interior of a person. And not many people have the eyes for the interior. Most men have eyes for what they can see because men are moved by what they see. Men are moved by what catches their eyes. Women are moved by what catches their heart. You see, women are moved by what catches their heart, but men are moved by what catches their eyes. And that is why we see many fakes today. Women having fake buttocks, fake boobs, fake faces, cosmetic faces, cosmetic everywhere. Because why? They understand that men only understand compatibility one way. Men only understand, and that compatibility is all physical, the physical attributes. So I think it is about reorienting ourselves of what compatibility is about and what is priority and what is topmost when we consider compatibility. That it is about the values that you share with a person, not the chemistry that you feel with a person, which is propounded by, or which is propagated and perpetuated in many circles hereabout. All right. So it is not about chemistry. It is about character. It is about values. It is about understanding that both of you are trustworthy, that both of you are dependable, both of you have integrity, both of you are transparent, both of you are honest to yourselves. All right. And other things you can work on in marriage, because actually character and values will compensate for any other thing that is missing in a person. I would like those who are going to hear me later or are hearing me now to have the benefit of having an emphasis of what I've just said. I said that having values and having character as a person will compensate for many things that you lack. For example, if you are very intelligent and a person falls in love with your intelligence, but you are not transparent, your marriage will crash. Your intelligence does not matter anymore. All right. So it is just love at first sight. The chemistry we feel, oh, I'm in love with this person, intelligent. The way she talks, she's so intelligent. And intelligence is on different levels. Intelligence is on different levels. That lady you are thinking is intelligent can be seen as a total illiterate on a different level, in a different field entirely. So if you fall in love with what your eyes sees and what your ears hears and not what your spirit connects with, then you are in trouble. You are in trouble. So it is what your spirit connects with. You can't actually put your hand to it. You can't actually see it with your visible eyes. You can't actually point to it and say, hey, you see what I'm seeing. No, you only have the eyes to see what nobody else is seeing. The values, the character that this person embodies. Imagine a marriage with a person who embodies the character of transparency, integrity, truth, honesty, justice, fairness, peace, joy. Just imagine a person who embodies all these values. Tell me how those values and characters will not compensate for any lack that you find physically. Oh, she does not have these physical attributes. She has a pale face. Her face is not oval. Her face is not circle. Her face is not round. Her face is V square. I don't like V square thing. I like all that. Character and values will always compensate for all that. All those don't matter. So, in a nutshell, summarily, compatibility, we must orient ourselves to think it in the direction of character and values, not in physical attributes. Not in physical attributes. Have you asked yourself why a person can go and marry a cripple? He goes to marry a cripple, and you're wondering, how do you live with a cripple in the house? And you just laugh and say, sir, you can't see what I'm seeing. You cannot just connect what I'm connecting. You actually are seeing the person whose spirit is connecting at the core of another person. Their core are deeply connected. I've asked the reasons to ask myself the question. I saw a healthy looking man got married to a crippled lady, and I was tempted to ask the question. I said, in my mind, how would they live as couples? But the truth is that the lady's deficiency is not actually what will threaten the marriage. Her physical deficiency is not what will threaten the marriage. As a matter of fact, if she has what it takes to keep a marriage, the man will go for it. The man will go for it. So we must check our understanding of compatibility and not buy into the world's philosophy of compatibility.
Well, you have talked about this issue of compatibility. Here comes the issue of age in marriage, because people don't want to actually talk about this area. Age, I think, is another thing that I feel you should look at. But I stand to be corrected, anyways, because that's why I'm here this evening, because I'm here to actually learn. So when it comes to the issue of age, is it actually right for a man to say, okay, the man should have to be senior to the woman with about 2, 3, 4 years or thereabout, or they are all of the same age, or the lady is even senior to the man? So what do you have to say about that? Which one, is there any philosophy, or is there any rule guiding marriage that says that this person will have to be the head or the senior in the marriage?
Yes, age difference in marriage is a cultural myth. MYTH is a cultural myth that is established by traditions of various cultures and climes. All right. For example, in Nigeria, the clime where we are now, where I am speaking from, the idea is that you should be older than the person you are getting married to as the man, because that is what determines respect. So age is actually, intertwined with respect, loyalty. That the older you are, the more respect you should command from a person, or the more respect you should earn from a person. But the truth is that marriage, as a matter of fact, is not dependent on the age difference of the partners coming together. It's not dependent on the age difference of the partners coming together. What matters most is their understanding of their role differences. Is the understanding of their role differences. The roles, the individual roles they play in marriage. Okay, the individual roles they play in marriage. But anyone who has bought into this cultural myth will have it tough in marriage without dealing with it, first of all, while as a single. Because if you go into marriage still having the cultural myth that you should be older to your wife, but meanwhile you went ahead to marry someone who is older than you as a man, you will have it tough You will have it tough because you will feel insecure in that marriage. Yes, you will feel every suggestion coming from the woman is like, this woman is going to override me. And that insecurity, yes, that insecurity will be like, I must outsmart this woman somehow, somewhere. And so it still boils down to security issue. If we are secure in who we are as individuals, I don't think we should have the issue of who is older to who in marriage. It is important. Yes, it is important that we understand that fact. That it's not about who is older, but whether both people in marriage with a sense of respect for each other, with a sense of respect for each other. So that is what I think marriage is all about. Respect, mutual respect for the institution of marriage and mutual respect for one another. It is important. It is important. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, sir, for that answer. We hope to stop by 7 on the dot. The issue of tradition. I'm from Edo State in West Africa, Nigeria precisely. So those from that part of the world, people feel they tend to always ride on probably the women in marriage, which I feel is a wrong notion, and is in fact is a wrong notion from the pit of hell. So I think this issue of tradition in marriage, this tribe doesn't marry this tribe, this one doesn't marry this. I don't know. Is it biblical? Is it something that should be taking cognizance of when finding life partner? Is it something that should be looked critically at when looking for whom to marry?
It is a consideration. It's a consideration. You see, there are a whole tribe. Culturally, they don't value marriage. I know of some tribes in Nigeria where marriage is not valued. That is the truth. Please permit me to say what I'm going to say now. If you are listening to me without sentiment, for example, the Igbo tribe in Nigeria value marriage greatly. The Igbo tribe, culturally, they value marriage. Once their daughter is given out in marriage, they expect that woman to thrive. They expect that woman to protect her marriage. They expect that woman to defend her home. They expect that woman not to come back home with flimsy excuses that, oh, I felt a headache, so I had to come back home. What? Go back to your house. While in some other cultures, I will not mention, they don't value marriage. It is a shared idea, it's a shared belief. It has eaten deep into the heart of even the children. I live in a place right now, or I work in a place where the tribe don't value marriage. If you enter into every home, I speak the truth, and God is my witness. If you enter into every home, it is difficult to find a home where you will not have a child out of wedlock. It is difficult. It is difficult to enter a home without getting into a place. It is like a generational mindset that if a child is 13 years, 14 years, she should have a child. Whether married or not, you should have a child. Whether your husband wants the child or not, just have a child. Now you imagine just jumping into that tribe and getting married and not understanding the history. What I think is important here is not forbidding a tribe, but understanding the thinking patterns of the people collectively. What is their thinking pattern? What is their thinking pattern? For example, you mentioned Edo State. I am from Edo State. They value marriage. All right? Yes, you just gave part of the weakness that some of the men feel superior. All right? In a marriage setting, they feel superior. but they value marriage. Some of these men, you might think they don't know God, but they will not like to bring another woman. They can be flirting outside, but because they value their marriage, in quotes, they will not bring. They can be doing side chick outside, but they dare not bring a wife to compete with their love at home.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. So that is the thinking pattern of a people. It is like what is passed from one generation to another. So when getting married to a tribe, you feel you are led to a person. You feel that you want to. You feel that a person is suitable for you. It is important you understand the history of where you are marrying into. Hello? It is important. You are married into a place. Some people just think they are marrying from a tribe. No, you are marrying into a tribe. You are marrying into a tribe. The generational DNA of that tribe will flow into your family. So what is important is that the person you are getting married to is the person that you must particularly work on. And this person, severed herself or himself from the cultural myths that is prevalent in the tribe where she is from. I mentioned a place where I work where they don't value marriage. Now just imagine a person sees a lady there who he finds suitable for him. It is important you ask yourself questions. Woman, tell me the history of your tribe. What do you know? What is prevalent in your tribe? What is prevalent in your culture, in your ethnicity, in your ethnic group? What is prevalent? What are the generational mindsets that people share? What are the beliefs, the limiting beliefs that people share in your tribe? And if she knows, she should be honest and transparent to tell you, because you are married into a tribe. So does it matter? Yes, it matters. Is it consequential? Yes, it is consequential. That is if you neglect to pay attention to the patterns, to the generational slides that exist in that tribe. It is important. It is important. It is important. That takes me back to the Bible. All right. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, but Jacob could have asked a question: what are the cultural beliefs? What are the cultural practices that exist here? But he did not ask the question. He was just only interested in marrying Rachel. But somewhere along the line, he was giving Leah, because in the tribe, it is wrong to give the younger before the older. So you must understand these dynamics. So it is important. It matters. It does matter. And where it matters is reaching out to your partner, your intended spouse, sharing your histories together. Sharing your histories together. Because when history is not known, history will be repeated. Yes, history will be repeated. So it is important you know where you are marrying into. Not just marrying from. You are marrying into a place. So you've got to know what is obtainable in that environment, in that climate, in that culture, so that you don't pass on generational problems to your children. It is important. I, for one, I will say it anywhere, anytime. It is important. It is important. It is important. There are cultures where the firstborn are sacrificed to the gods of the particular culture, of the particular tribe. I mean, here in Africa, the firstborn is literally sacrificed. That is why most firstborns have problems, have issues, and they don't know where their problem is coming from. Not knowing that there are generational patterns that are passed on from family to family, which was passed on to them. So if couples are going to come together to start on a clean slate, they must understand the histories of where they are coming from and how it impacts their marriage. Not necessarily to use that as a determinant to go their separate ways. No, to know how the history of where they are coming from impacts their marriage. To believe that the history of your culture or of your client does not impact your marriage, it is presumptuous. And presumption is the lowest form of knowledge, is the lowest form of knowledge. So it is important when you come together, you understand your history and how it impacts the marriage you are coming together to build for generations to come. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are already behind time, but lastly, before you give us your final word, what are some of the things that you think can kill a home? Once you just give all that, you give us your final word, we'll close for today. Thank you, sir.
All right. Earlier, I think I'm lucky enough to have stated earlier the 5 things that kill marriages. 5 things that kill marriages. Speaking from experience. Speaking from experience, not from a book. From experience. Anybody can tell you anything different, but I'm telling you 5 things. Number 1, spiritual attack. Spiritual attack. I am spiritually oriented, so I know that the devil will come after any marriage that is built on the solid rock. Number 2 is money fights. Money fights. The first year of my marriage was tough because both of us, myself and my spouse, we came into marriage with different understanding of how to use more money. All right. My wife believed that money should be saved for tomorrow. I believe money should be used completely. It exhausts everything today. So we came together with a different mindset. So she came across like a person who wanted to control my finance. And I felt threatened. I felt, it's my money, it's not your money. It's my money. I'm the one making the money. Allow me to spend. So I am a spendthrift. I am a spendthrift. Before I got married, I spent recklessly. So when we came together, the first year of our marriage was tough because we're trying to balance our ideas about marriage. I mistook reckless spending for generosity. That was one thing I learned from my wife. That the way you spend money, you are not being generous. You are being selfish to your children unborn. You are being reckless. You are being reckless about the future of your children unborn. When I got married, I had very little savings because I felt I was living for others. So I was spending carelessly, giving lavishly, thinking that I was being generous, but I wasn't. I was only being reckless. So it took a superior intelligence, called my wife, to sit me down to tell me that, hey, you are being foolish. And I didn't like such feedback. So it was a fight. So money fight is serious in marriage. Number 1, spiritual attack. Number 2 is money fight. Number 3 is silence. When both of you have issues in a relationship and you find a hard time talking to yourselves, you really have a challenge. But if you get to that point where you are both silent and selfishly quiet with yourselves, you don't want to talk to yourself, just silent 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days, you are silent, I think the marriage is near death experience. It's near a death. Silence. Number 4 is stress. Stress is a killer of marriage. There are many times the man will want to have you as a woman, and because you are so stressed out, because you did not take into consideration that the evening is coming and it will demand your energy. So you gave all your energy to your work. You gave all your energy to your trade. And coming back home, you are zero emotionally. You are zero. All right? And your husband wants to have pleasure with you. And he's like, no, I'm stressed. If that goes on for many days, you can't have a happy home. You can't have a happy marriage. So stress kills marriages. For men who are workaholic, this is for you. You've got to know how to handle your time and how to handle your work schedules. It is important. Lastly, what kills marriage is destructive words. Destructive words. For me as a partner, if I don't have anything good to say, I don't say anything. It has always worked for me. It is not the same thing as silence, please. They are different. All right. If I don't have a good word to say, I don't say nothing. I'm very quiet. So when one day my wife asked me, said that when she's talking to me, she's not quarreling, but the way she's coming across to me, I feel threatened. And at that time, if I talk, I won't talk in such a way to be pleasing. So she asked me, why am I quiet? Am I stonewalling? Am I trying to, am I?
Wow, we are having some network glitch there. We hope to get. Okay. Our speaker is back. I think he's back. Oh, I think we're still having some network issue there. So if you have been following,
I don't know what to say. I return to the conversation and then we start from there. So spiritual attack, silence, stress, money fights, and destructive words, they kill marriages.
Thank you very much. I think after now, there is a particular, because I received a call before now about some things are happening in a particular home, and I told them, don't worry, I will deal with the issue after my program this evening, and this has given me an insight on what to actually do. So thank you very much, Mr. Joshua, for your time. Thank you for your sacrifices so far. Despite your busy schedule, I know you're very, very busy, but you still find that time to be here. But I don't know, before you give us your final word, before you go, will it be possible to have a second part of this program?
All right, please come again.
I said, will it be possible to have a second part of this program?
With all pleasure. With all pleasure, I would like to come again and again. And to be with all pleasure, sir. With all pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Because we want to have the second part of this program. Because though, you know, our platform is still growing up, and we know and we trust God that in due course, we are going to increase in numbers and also increase in every ramification. So, Mr. Joshua, before you go tonight, can you give us your final word? What is your final counsel to the bachelor, the bachelorette, and the spinster out there? What is your final counsel to each and every one of them?
Yes, my final words are these. Number one, it is important that we value the place of God in marriage. We must value the place of God in marriage. We must understand the place of God in our relationship. If we edge God out of our relationships and out of our marriage, we will be unhappy in our marriages. We'll be unhappy. And our marriages will not reach its fullest potential for eternal significance. Our marriage will not reach its fullest potential for eternal significance. So it is crucial that we put God first. We put first things first, and that is God. We place him first. We prioritize God. And next to God, we prioritize one another. The habits we have as singles in our courtship season is the habit we take into marriage. All right, is the habit we take into marriage. So we must be careful the habits we cultivate in singlehood, because ultimately we are going to take them into marriage. We're going to take them into marriage. So courtship is like a dress rehearsal for marriage. All right, pre-marriage season is like a dressing rehearsal for marriage. So you have to know how to dress properly and keep your body in shape, keep your spirit in shape. And lastly, I want you to understand that courtship is not an event. Courtship is a lifestyle. So you must do your best to master the art of courtship, because marriage is all about courtship. Marriage is all about courting yourselves for as long as you live. For as long as you live. So take these mindsets into consideration and receive them and apply them, and see your marriage and relationship work and become the best it can be for the glory of God. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Tim-Osa, God bless you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your sacrifices tonight.
Thank you.
What do you have to say to our speaker this evening? Our viewers are all saying thank you very much for your time, and thank you for everything that you've done. So to every one of us back home, we have actually learned a lot this evening. If you joined lately, I want you to actually go and listen to this clip again and again. If you're not yet married, there are a lot of things that you have to learn from this meeting this evening. I've learned a lot, I must say. And after this evening, after this meeting, I think it's time for me to actually take the bull by the horn and do what I'm supposed to do as a man.
I think so too, sir.
Because a lot of things have been settled, and I so much trust God that a lot of marriages will start working now. Or probably you're listening to us and your marriage is not yet working. If you need counseling or you need any advice in any way, you can always reach out to me, and I tell you, I will take you directly to minister this evening. I'll give you either his contact with his permission. I'll give you either his contact or his mail so that you can reach him and get to know a lot of things. I'm part of his mentee from a milestone, and I've learned a lot. I must say, I've learned a lot, and he's still blessing each and every one of us on a daily basis. So if you want to join the train of one of the mentees of Mr. Joshua Ogbaname, please do well to reach me, or you can just probably search for him on Facebook, and I tell you, you are going to reach him one-on-one. I don't know, I'm led this evening that Mr. Joshua, you have to just pray for each and every one of us that you've actually blessed this evening before you go. Are you there, Mr. Joshua? Oh, I think he has actually gone this evening, but nevertheless, he has blessed us, and we trust God that all that we have received this evening is going to remain permanent, and our marriages will begin to work in all sense, and it begin to work in all ramification. From Sir Tim-Osa Media Studio, we want to say a very big thank you to all our viewers, to all our audience. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. We love you, and we hope to have this program again next week. Same time, same social media handle, but with a different topic. For now, we want to call it a quit, and we want to say thank you. See you again next time. See you again next week, and have a wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye.